Hey everyone, it's Fentony. Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 1's just aired. It's called Winterfell, so let's talk about it. Obviously, if you've not seen the episode yet, don't watch this video unless you want to be spoiled. So we've got a brand new intro for the final season. It's a much bigger focus on the castles themselves. Obviously now there's much less locations on the show. You know, we're not going to places in Westeros we've been before, and we're not going to Essos. It's mostly just Winterfell and King's Landing now, but of course there are other places as well, such as the Last Hearth. This episode starts fast and never stops. If you want to compare it to the first episode in Season 7, I think that's a good place to start because episode 1 in Season 7 was very slow. It never really went anywhere. You know, there wasn't much progress from the final episode in Season 6. But the first episode in the final season, every scene matters. There's no time to waste in terms of storyline because the dead are coming, but also in runtime. There's only 6 episodes left. Every scene has to matter. Honestly, I was screaming at my TV almost every second. I'm not going to rank this episode. I'm not going to say it's one of the best ever yet. I'm going to watch it a few more times before I decide where it stands. But it's a good episode. A very good one. But not a perfect episode. I do have a few complaints. I love the new intro, it's probably the best version yet. I love seeing Jon and Dany arrive at Winterfell. I love seeing Arya at Wintertown watching everyone go by, especially her reaction to Jon Snow. This episode is full of reunions and first time meetings between the characters. It felt like a character driven episode. Of course the plot does drive it as well, but it's very character heavy. There's obviously less plot lines now. Game of Thrones is always known for having all these characters, you know, it's the biggest character list in a TV show, and it's all these storylines going on. Of course, Season 8's the biggest season, but it's more condensed. There's less characters now. It's really only Winterfell against the Night King and Cersei Lannister down south in King's Landing. Because there's fewer characters than ever, it means that the characters that we have get more screen time and also development. I was very happy with the Jon Snow and Daenerys development with their relationship. It was a massive part of Season 7 and it builds up over time and eventually they get together, but this episode really showed us how close they've become, and all the characters in the show realise this. Some characters are quite happy with them being together, but some of them are a bit more anxious. Obviously the Night King's on the way and the threat of the end of the world, everyone needs to be on the same page, and we know in Game of Thrones love is the death of duty. Many people have sacrificed duty for love, and I imagine a few people are anxious about Jon and Dany being together. Especially when it comes to the big reveal. Yeah, Jon's parentage was revealed to him. It's going to be a big deal. So back to all the reunions. Jon and the Starks, loved them. Loved seeing them together with Bran and Arya, especially the Arya one. I was nearly crying at that point. Sansa and Tyrion, Arya and the Hound, Arya and Gendry. Yeah, Arya and Gendry are definitely going to get together at some point, and they have to. I love the Jon and Sam reunion, even though it was buried within all the Jon parentage reveal, you can still feel that these two are brothers. And of course the ending with Bran and Jaime. But I think Jon and Arya is definitely my favourite. It's the most emotional in my opinion, it's the most heartwarming, but there's also a warning in there. Arya warned Jon not to forget about his family. Obviously that's a massive part of this episode. A massive theme is the North and the Starks and everyone in Winterfell not trusting Daenerys. They're not happy with Jon bending the knee, which is understandable. But guys, remember the Night King's on the way. It's kinda when Bran interrupts Sansa and Daenerys at the start. He tells them about the wall falling down and the fact the Night King has the dragon now. It's all going to kick off once Winterfell hears what's happening at the Last Hearth and Ned Umber. Everyone's going to have to put their differences to one side. Yeah, Ned Umber, he's the first on-screen death of this season. And my god, that was a good one. The episode just never really stops. It's fast-paced, but never feels rushed. Every scene, you know, gets its time it deserves and the time it's needed. Of course, some characters didn't get a lot of screen time. I don't recall seeing much of Brienne or maybe Grey Worm or Missandei. I think they get some scenes at the start. I'm not sure if Brienne even talked in this episode, but it's a very busy episode. Obviously, not every character is going to get a lot of screen time in every single episode. That's kind of how Game of Thrones has always been. Season 7 was pretty much the Jon and Dany show, but I think this episode found a better balance between all the other characters. I kind of felt in Season 7 the side characters kind of got neglected, but so far so good. I was very concerned this episode wouldn't go anywhere, you know, get all the reunions at the start and the episode would just faff about for an hour. I was worried it'd be kind of like the Season 7 opener, but a lot happened in this episode. Theon saved Yara, Cersei let Euron into her bed, Jon rode a dragon and learnt the truth about his parentage from Samwell. I must say, John Bradley as Sam really shined in this episode. Probably my favourite actor so far in this season. He's had 2 amazing scenes. The first with Daenerys when he finds out that his father and brother were executed, and then with Jon Snow when he reveals the parentage to him. I really felt for Sam in this episode. There's a lot of pressure on Sam, but he's definitely the man to tell Jon the truth. I love the Jon reveal, it went exactly how I thought it would be. Jon and Sam together down in the crypt with no one else. Obviously it's a massive shock for Jon, and we're going to see more of that in the second episode. But I want to talk about Jon Snow riding a dragon, because that happened in this episode. It was a massive deal, but I kind of felt the show dumbed it down a bit. Jon does ride Rhaegal, which is a dragon named after his father Rhaegar Targaryen. I've been saying that for a long time now, it always makes sense to me, but it kind of felt cheap in this episode. Don't get me wrong, it's an amazing scene. It was funny seeing Jon struggle to ride the dragon, and then seeing Jon and Dany have a heartwarming moment at that waterfall. It reminded me of Jon and Ygritte when Ygritte's about to die, and she tells Jon they should have stayed in the cave. Also, Drogon watching Jon as he kisses Daenerys. One of the best moments in the season so far. It's a very serious episode, but there's a lot of humour as well. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing Jon ride a dragon, it looked amazing and it was a massive moment, but basically Jon rode Rhaegal because Dany told him to. Not because he's a Targaryen, you could say that is the reason why, and in the books it's the fact that dragon has to bond with the rider and all that, but basically Dany tells him, go on, jump on. I kind of feel it was a bit cheap, but I wish they saved it for later on, after his parentage reveal. Obviously now Jon knows the truth about his parentage, he's probably just worked out in his head he slept with his aunt. That's probably going to be a big part of episode 2. I don't know what Jon's going to do next, he could probably keep it to himself, but I don't think he would do that. But the Night King's on his way. Will he tell Daenerys, which could be a massive risk because it could cause major issues? You know, him and Sam were talking about treason and all that, but Jon's got a better claim. Or is he going to wait till after the battle? But he may not get the chance if he waits after the battle, because that battle is going to be a bloodbath. Like I said, very busy episode. It's not all about Jon riding dragons. Cersei's now paying Bronn to kill Jaime and Tyrion, and she's gave him the crossbow that Tyrion used to kill Tywin. I did not expect that. And yeah, the nudity's back in Game of Thrones. It's only one scene. Game of Thrones has always been known for its sex scenes, but over the seasons it was toned down a bit. Sometimes it was a bit forced, but I had no issue with it in this episode. Cersei and Euron sleep together, but that happens off screen. Honestly, Euron got a lot of screen time in this episode. Honestly, Euron's not awful, but he's still not Euron from the books. I think there's still time for him to partially redeem his character, but I'm not going to hold my breath. He has improved a lot since his debut, especially in the King's Moot scene in season 6, but he's still not Euron from the books. I think he might have been introduced far too late, and you know, he's a big change from the books. So let's talk about Ned Umber being the first on-screen death. It was brutal. I almost jumped out of my skin when Ned became a white. He was sent back to Last Hearth by Sansa to bring his people to Winterfell, but the Night King hit him first. It looks like he massacred everyone at Last Hearth and hung up Ned's body with limbs in the shape that he's been leaving since the very beginning. It's a message from the Night King. Even though the Night King doesn't actually appear in this episode, I think that scene adds quite a lot to his character. I kind of felt like season 7 dumbed down the Army of the Dead. The other seasons made them quite mysterious and there was something going on, but in season 7 it was just, they're the enemy, they want to kill us all. But so far in the first episode in season 8, it seems like the dead are back on track, and it's definitely teasing there's something more to them than just massacre. So Tormund, Beric, Ed and the Night's Watch are coming to Winterfell. They're probably going to arrive before the Army of the Dead and warn Jon about how close the Night King is. The episode 2 trailer has been released, I'm going to cover that tomorrow. It looks like it's going to deal with Jaime arriving at Winterfell, Dany's issues with him for killing her father, the people not trusting him, and of course with Bran as well, because that's obviously a massive reunion. Jaime pushed Bran out the window and it started this entire series. But I think Tyrion's in hot water as well. He's told everyone that Cersei's coming to help, but it's likely Jaime's going to reveal the truth, and Tyrion's going to be in big trouble. This episode shows us that Sansa's probably the most intelligent person at the moment. She told Tyrion that she once thought he was the smartest man ever, but it looks like he's just an idiot. She knows that Cersei's not going to help, and once Jaime reveals it, or even Bran reveals it, this is going to cause major issues with Tyrion. He's not going to be very popular. So in conclusion, very strong episode. It goes places and never stops. Has huge moments, both heartwarming and serious. Major plot points were solved here. But also very humorous as well. You know, it's the end of the world, but there's still time for jokes. I love Tyrion's unique joke with Varys at the very start. I really miss that side of Tyrion. He was one of the best characters back then, if not the best. But I kind of feel as the season went on, and the fact there was no source material from George R. R. Martin, his character did suffer the most. Something else I picked up on was the girls mentioned to Bronn about some ginger called Eddie got his eyelids burnt off. Could that be Ed Sheeran's character from season 7? Drogon watching Jon very warily as he kisses Daenerys was one of my favourites as well. And Jon's reaction as well, he looked very afraid. But my favourite is Lord Commander Ed shouting at Tormund, "Stay back, he has blue eyes." And Tormund saying he's always had blue eyes. Game of Thrones has always had amazing characters, a very strong main cast, but sometimes the side characters are the best. Obviously this episode's not perfect, I mentioned it before, I've got a few complaints. Obviously they spent a vast amount of the budget on the dragon scenes. I love the Rhaegal screen time, I'm very happy he's actually green again, and he's getting more screen time. But of course that means no Ghost. There was no Jon Snow and Ghost reunion, not happy about that, and there was no Golden Company elephants. I really like the Cersei line, I wanted those elephants. I kind of feel that's the writers winking at us. Cersei's line is from the fans. The fans wanted those elephants. Lena Headey's perfect as always. Qyburn did say that she's got other plans for the Targaryen girl. Can't wait to find out what those are. Exciting times ahead. Good episode. Good start to the season. But in the comments below, I want to know what you felt about the episode. What's your favourite scene? What's your favourite character? Anyways guys, remember to leave your thoughts in the comments below. And like and subscribe to the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.